All right, you're asking for it, so here it is. Listen to this.
I want you folks laughing at we partners pod, kid. You understand? We in here drinking, singing, swinging, all that shit, dog. We sweating, getting wet, and all that.
All right, now it might be like 2 or 3 takes before we get it right, because I ain't done this in a while. But here we go. All right, welcome to the DP Quarentimes number 6 or 6-ish or whatever. We LeBron in his Heat years right now. Is what we in a new setting, but we coming out strong. We coming out to win the chip, or at least 2 or 4. I don't know, 50% championships. I don't know. Both of our cities didn't get a championship this year, so I'll take anything.
We all want to count.
I want a spades tournament online. I feel good about myself. I am half of your hosting tandem, Ed Bailey. I'm joined as always with my co-host, Dave Bracey. Say what up to the people.
What's good with you people? We are the Drinking Partners, and if you're looking for us, you can find us on epiccastnetwork.com/partnerspod. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, Google Play, and Spotify under Drinking Partners. And you can find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at Partners Pod. Man, listen, man, I don't even know what time is anymore. It's all a flat circle. So we're going to come back around to it. And hey, if you're on Facebook, if you're on IG, on Twitter, or any of the the apps that we're on, iTunes, leave a rate and review. That's how we know what we're doing well. That's how we let others know that we're doing well. And that's how we continue to do well. So please hop on iTunes, hop on Facebook, hop on wherever you can find us, and please rate and review.
Listen, you love us. You used to see us out in public because we used to go outside when it was safe, and you would tell us that you love us. But now we ask that at the click of a button, you please tell the internet, please tell the world, tell everybody that we're a thing. And listen, we're back. We're not going to sit up here and try to just come in this and not acknowledge like we was a deadbeat dad for a while. Like, you know how back in the day, Pops used to go, when him and Moms broke up, they had to go away for a couple months to get their money right. You know what I'm saying? he had to find a place. The breakup was instant. So he didn't want you coming over to his man's crib. So he had to get an apartment. He had to get a full-time
Had to wait for that return to come in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, exactly. We become great men around March and April. We start getting all the gifts for all the ancillary family members. Oh, if you're an auntie and your birthday falls in March or April, you get all the gifts from the family. So we stepped away, had to clear our heads, get ourselves together, man. But we back in the studio. We're very happy to be back in the studio because much like everyone listening, we ain't shit else to do, man. Like we're doing a lot and not doing a damn thing, right?
Yo, man, that is the weirdest sensation to just have all the things to do and nowhere to do them at the same motherfucking time. But, it's been a long time. You shouldn't have left you.
See, we still got some synergy. We still got some synergy. I'm happy.
Getting back in it. Getting that rust off.
Getting the rust off. But I think the guests we have today have helped us both through the pandemic.
Oh, yeah, very much so, man.
Because I think the best way to get through a pandemic is to drink in the comfort of your own home. Because you don't have to drive.
Yo, man, and I've been loving how businesses have been in this pandemic. Being safer with the customers in mind or whatever. Making sure that you can get your food, your booze, your what you need to get through in a safe manner. And shout out to the folks. Also, shout out to our sponsors. Speaking of folks delivering at home and making shit a little bit more accessible. Right. Farm to Table of Western PA. Farm to Table means many things. Knowing where your food comes from, accessing fresh, nutritional food, supporting local businesses, and last but not least, getting back to our roots, man. It's all about food security and making sure that where you're getting your shit from. You know what I mean? Like whether that's your booze, your food, and it's wild because through this pandemic, I think that we're fully understanding just how important the message of local means. I mean, it's
bigger than you. It's bigger than you. You help create. I know the word ecosystem is going around, is flying around like crazy, but like you create an economy. And then, it's not just healthy food and all that. It's equitable access to those things, man. And shout out to Farm to Table, great organization, always making sure that not only we got food on our plate, but healthy food on our plate. You know what I'm saying? Like the worst thing you can do is just throw some BS into communities, then
Yeah,
You get the movie Precious.
Yeah, I mean, Mo Liquor was a thing for a while, man. They was just dropping that shit off and peacing out. You know what I mean, like, so it's getting the good stuff in the communities. And if you're looking to help out, or find out any of the events going on with Farm to Table, that's farmtotablepa.com. They do a lot around the community, man. Like getting food, get together, dropping them off at homes. Just making sure that not only folks at home can get access to these foods, but also local businesses have access in new and creative ways to get their product to the folks, in an affordable manner, man. Like it's really on some Robin Hood type shit, taking funds from various places and making sure that they get to the poor folks, man. And we all poor folks. I don't know if unless you're a billionaire, unless you in that 1%, we see what the stocks is doing. We all poor folks out this motherfucker, man. So shout out to Farm to Table, and again, that's farmtotablepa.com. Man.
Look at you, man. You in mid-season form. Look at my man's in mid-season form.
Yeah, I've been doing reps in the crib.
He got a longer commute to the studio, so he just ran. He did the rundown all the way. My man in mid-season form. Can we clap? That's my guy.
Try it out there,
That's my guy, man. But listen. We don't have any malt liquor on our table today.
No, hell no, man. Only this very fresh, very local product that we have here. And listen, man, like you alluded to earlier, man, they've been keeping us nice over this pandemic, and it's crazy opening up, and we'll get into that. But opening up through a pandemic and then opening up in the way that they did. And then doing it right, man. Like, I mean, I've been watching them from and getting text messages like, oh, did you see what they're doing over there, Trace, man? It's pretty dope to see. So
yeah, they definitely
excited to have them on.
Popped up at my little spot. I got my little spot I go to, and I'm just like, who is this? But yes, we are blessed to have David Kushner, owner, and Zach Colton, head brewer at Trace Brewing, in the building, or in the virtual building. But we still got to get it up to the people. So say what up to the people.
How's it going? Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having us. I wish we could be there with you.
We do too.
Well, you're here in glass.
We're here in
So,
yeah, there you go.
We have a piece of you. I don't. We'll always have a piece.
But yeah, no, this is we drinking the Moon Pond right now. Shout out to your designer. I want to talk about. I want to talk about all of the outside, the inside, everything. But this is the Moon Pond. Shout out to your designer. The logos, the can art is nice. I mean, it's very artistic. I mean, I mean, you'll see that on the shelf and be like, wait, who's that?
Right. You can see it, not know what it is, and be like, but I trust that they're putting this is going to be like a good product.
Yeah. I'm trust this experience. You know what I mean, like, so I mean, I guess before we get into tell us a little bit about this Moon Pod, because this is one of the IPAs, one of the three that we have, and it's nice. I like it's balanced. It's got some bitterness to it. You know what I mean? It's hazy, but it's not like crazy, just ridiculous juice. You could tell there's hops in this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess take us a little bit through what this Moon Pond is and why you made it.
Moon Pond is a single IPA with Galaxy and Columbus hops. So this bag of Galaxy is a little danker than that hop sometimes is, which actually worked out really well in this beer. What I try to do sometimes is pair a fruitier hop with a danker hop. So in this case, Columbus is a hop that I use in the kettle a lot that has that kind of, I tried to get them to put dank weed on the label and they wouldn't let me. That's that kind of like that dank character. So I try to pair it with stuff that's a little fruitier like Galaxy to try to kind of balance out the flavor in the beer. But yeah, I mean that one, as the weeks go on, I like it more and more. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. I mean, it's one of our first IPAs that I made. So, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I always think, I'll do better next time, but everybody tells me they like it and I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. I feel like everything is one of the first. Y'all just opened up. It's like isn't every
right.
IPA you make one of your first?
Yeah, let's get some of that. Let's get some of that background. Let's get some of that background too. Like how'd you guys come to be? How'd you guys link up? Like what's going on over there, Trace?
Yeah, so I mean, Zach and I go way back now, back to, I don't know, 2012, 2013 to our Cambridge, Massachusetts days. And we first met working for Harpoon Brewing there in Boston, one of the larger production facilities in the U.S. But we were hired as bartenders there, opening up their like brand new like 400-person beer hall. And immediately Zach and I hit it off for our love of beer, and especially homebrewing. Started homebrewing together in the backyard in Cambridge, Mass, and ended up both moving to Pittsburgh in 2016 and kind of hit the ground running, looking for a spot to open up, and stumbled upon what is now Trace in would have been late 2018, and built it out and shooting to open up early 2020, and then the world kind of ended, and
the world told you never mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that kind of threw us for a curveball, and just opened up just for beer to go right now in mid-December. So hopefully open to the public to actually sit down and drink some beers inside Trace pretty soon.
So why Pittsburgh? What brought you all the way from Cambridge, Massachusetts? Like, how you like them apples? Like, I feel like it's I feel like a Goodwill Hunting type shit. Yeah, I mean, like what brought you all the way down to Pittsburgh? Like, this ain't a vacation city. This ain't a destination quite yet. I mean, this global warming keep coming in, and we about to be
true. We've already lost winter.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's what
we get winter weekends.
It's true.
I mean, I'm from South Florida originally, so this global warming stuff that's going on, for all the bad stuff, like at least for me getting warmer here, I'm not going to complain too much. But
nobody will.
I might have left my car running this morning. I don't know,
but yeah, I mean, we got here. So I met my now wife in Cambridge, and she's from Morgantown, West Virginia. And so, Pittsburgh has always been her big city.
All right,
but my connection to Pittsburgh goes, way back to 2003. One of my oldest friends and college roommates of 4 years was born and raised here in Lawrenceville. Mary, his now wife, is also born and raised in Lawrenceville. So I've been coming to Pittsburgh. I went to school in DC. I would come over on the Chinatown bus to visit Chet in 2003 till 2007, and actually ended up living here for 3 months in 2009. I've always loved the people here, loved the geography. I'm from South Florida, so like it's really flat. It's pretty, but like it's not as beautiful as here with just the rivers and the hills. And the folks in Pittsburgh remind me of people in the South. Just a lot of the pace, the small talking in the grocery store. You go into a bar by yourself, someone's going to come and say hello to you. So I've always loved it. And then, when I met my wife, Nina, and found out that she loved Pittsburgh too, the goal was always to try to move here like we did in 2016. And then I was able to rope Zach in about like 9 months later to move here and buy a house.
But I mean, so that's all fine and good and nostalgic.
That's gonna be in a Pittsburgh documentary.
Yeah, true. Like that's a Rick Seaback.
Sound like a feature. UPMC commercial.
Yeah. True, but like economically speaking, you don't open up a business because you like the hills at a place. You know what I mean? Like, there's like you don't call your boy and be like, "Yo, they got some pretty trees out here." Like, I mean, you gotta economically, you had to like, why open up a business in Pittsburgh as opposed to anywhere else that you could have, could have gone?
Well, I mean, now, Pittsburgh's our home. So of course we want to be selfish and have a place where we can go drink down the street and drink some great beer. But as you guys know, Pittsburgh is an amazing beer city and craft beer city. I mean, going all the way back to the Iron City days. But, the folks like Roundabout and Brew Gentlemen who've really paved the way. And then, the newer kids on the block, thinking more like 2014 to 2016, of course, with Dancing Gnome and Hitchhiker and all those folks, like it's just an awesome place to be opening up a brewery. And a lot of these breweries are just in cool old buildings. You don't see that in a lot of cities. You couldn't ask for just a better community, better people to come out and drink. To get Zach to come here, he came by in 2016 to help Andrew, open up Dancing Gnome. So that was an easy sell for Zach once he was able to see what Andrew was trying to do there at Dancing Gnome. Just got super stoked to move here and to brew with him.
Man, it's wild how interconnected the industry is, especially in Pittsburgh, because it's already a small town, and then you got an even smaller scene or whatever, and it's wild because as we grow and meet more folks around the nation, like there's really a Pittsburgh connection like every fucking where, like I mean, like
well, if you look at it now, y'all becoming a minority. You the minority on this podcast. There's 3 out of towners on here talking about Pittsburgh beer. but I think the dynamic of that is crazy because you coming from out of town to open a brewery already knowing that all right, there's a lot of breweries open. Like, what's that thought process like? Like, how do you identify like where you want to be, knowing that breweries have opened consistently, and then all of a sudden, I mean, I guess the pandemic you couldn't forecast, but just how do you go through opening a new spot and you from out of town, and it's a spot that's like traditionally like very Homer centric, but us transients are coming through taking over.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good question. For me, my philosophy is I don't want to be in islands. I don't want to be in a town or in a spot where it's like we're the only brewery. That's
a big responsibility. You got to carry the whole town. Like,
you got the city on your back.
I mean, like Doc Hollywood and shit. Like I'm the only motherfucker in here.
Exactly. And when you looked around Pittsburgh again, even looking at 2010 on and seeing what the folks were doing here and the kind of beer they were making and the success they were having and the community they were building, you really you want to help like carry that torch. And when that not only are people living in the city wanting to go out and support their craft breweries and hop to 2 or 3 on a given night, but that people are traveling here to Pittsburgh to check out the city and drink the craft beers. To us, it really made sense. And the location of Bloomfield, puts us close to a great brewery like Cinderlands. We're not too far from Roundabout. We're in that hub, of course, like Iron City's opening up their tap room now down the street. Two Phrases opening up in Garfield. Like that's the kind of stuff we really got excited about, was that density, not just around people, but density around other great businesses, great bars and restaurants, and great breweries. So, to me, it made a lot more sense than, perhaps going to a small town where, you were going to be the only brewery in town, which I think a lot of folks get excited about. They're like, well, that's great. That means people are going to come support us. But, it's not necessarily proven through yet at that point. Like what Brew Gentlemen had done, what Dancing Gnome had done, again, Hitchhiker, Cinderlands, all these folks, I think they'd already laid the path for success for another business to come in and just try to be part of it.
So why is it named Trace? We never asked this question. We never asked why people name their place the way it is. We just take it. It's like, all right, that's what it is. Like, shit's
it ain't
good.
offensive.
Yeah. True. Like, we're just like, all right.
Call you Trace. Like, all right. It's kind of like a cool 90s, like sitcom, like high school sitcom, like cool guys.
the quarterback.
Quarterback. Dating Kimberly. Okay, we're on the same wavelength.
Trace Cody. So why do you call it Trace?
Why Trace? I wish we had like a really cool story, like some kind of aha moment. I think, first and foremost, we're opening up at this point. There's like 9,000 breweries in the United States. Like the first step was like, we couldn't believe the name wasn't taken. It's like that's number one. It's like, doing the Google search, being like, all right, that's awesome. We like this name. And we also dig that it's very abstract. Like a lot of people think of a lot of different things when they hear the word trace, whether it's like tracing lineage, tracing time, trace paper, whatever it is. We kind of like that it was abstract, and we wanted people to kind of make it their own. Hence, our logo doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's just we wanted to like evoke a reaction and emotion and of a time. A lot of our aesthetic is mid-century modern Art Deco, kind of the heyday of the architecture in Pittsburgh. And so that's kind of where the name comes from. The building itself has traces of all its old use in there. It was a brass and bronze foundry. They developed black and white photography. It was an underground punk music venue. And you go around this building, you look on the walls, and you can see all that stuff still there. So that's kind of where the name came from.
So I like that, because when I look at it, looking at the name Trace and then looking at the cans, they go to get like it makes sense, and it's not corny like a crossword where you tracing some outline and some shit. Like it's corny, but it goes together. So I'm interested with
what's that fucking Tron? That's what
a Tron.
Like, I mean, everything got that Tron.
It does, and then there's Tron be having the lines and shit. You can trace the lines like it goes together, right? But I'm interested. I never asked this. So Zach, now you all create like you're branded well, right? It's traced, the name, the visual go together. How do you make beers that are like this makes sense coming out of that can? Like, do you think of that?
I honestly, no, not really. I mean,
that makes me sound.
We have an artist that's. I know. I'm sorry, it's a disappointing answer, but I'm
not evaluating the question. Like this dude's rusty.
Oh, it's fine.
Came in and bricked one.
I'm
45. Jordan in the 45.
Y'all catch it later though. Y'all see what I say? Y'all catch it later when y'all try this.
My head is back in the production space all the time. I'm thinking about ingredients and process and all that stuff, and then we have a great artist that puts the labels together, and we talk about it and stuff that we're interested in doing, and our first round of cans looked a little bit different than the next round of cans, so there is a creative process that goes on where we talk about visually, is this representing the brewery well? Like, how can we kind of evolve the way that things look? But I think it's coming together nicely. I mean, we have that graffiti wall outside, and the labels here have a little bit of like a paint kind of element to them. And I mean, it's always interesting. Like the first 6 months, particularly at brewery, I've been lucky enough to work at a couple places during that period of time, and things evolve and change and kind of settle into place. And it's a really fun part of the process because everybody is forced to be as creative as they can be all the time. Even if you're just problem solving, how to set up a retail space, that's still a creative process. So, when you walk into a place that's established and they have all that set up, that is the groundwork that was laid by the first 6 months to a year of operating. And, that's creative process from, me making the beer to Katie running the front of house to the artwork on the label and the whole presentation of the place. So
everything after you said no sounds like it validated my question.
Sounds like yes.
I'm just saying. Just saying, bro. You told me no, and then proceeded to tell me, yeah, we think about this. Yeah, I knew I wasn't crazy.
Because I want to talk about I mean, like I definitely want to get into your background because it's very deep, and I love the interconnectedness of just everything that in your story or whatever. But I do want to talk about the thing that's very important to the podcast and just everything in general is the art side of things. I mean, and like, so who is your graphic designer? The labels are.
They might not want.
You don't. I mean, if that's a secret, you want to give.
No, I mean, yeah.
Shout him or her out, but
yeah, I mean, like,
if you don't want nobody else cans popping up,
yeah. No, I mean,
I don't want nobody else shit looking nice.
We're all about sharing.
But like, who's the designer or whatever, and then like how do you decide on aesthetic? Like, I mean, like, so right now we're drinking Love Is the Way, and off top, I mean, it's a little bit more citrusy. It got the Citra hops in there with the Galaxy, so it's like very much Citra. Heavy on that side of things. But like why that color? Like, I mean, like did you taste it and was like that's purple?
Yeah,
but not whole purple, but that's more of a bluish purple. Yeah, I mean, like how did you
see now he's asking my question a different way
because
it wouldn't if a stout came out of that it would be weird.
Stout would be, I'm like, why purple? Yeah, I mean, unless you threw some blueberries in it. It was a blueberry stout. I'd be like,
see what all I gotta go through.
So how and because again, like you said, it's a conversation with the artist and whatnot, and like what is that conversation like, and even I think it's really important to understand how that creative process kind of comes together. Like, how do you choose upon that as your graphic designer? How did you find her and be like, I like you and your aesthetic? And then whenever you do release a beer, how do you have that conversation to say, this is, so that when it comes out, you're all like, that's the one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so our designer is Mike Tavilla. If anyone's listening and wants his contacts, please, reach out. More than happy to share his email. It does amazing stuff. I mean, he works with us on our logo, on our branding. Obviously, does all our can design. And the way that the creative process, works with him is he really wants to get to know the space. I mean, so much of Trace is the neighborhood and the space itself. And so really coming into the building before we even started demolition and starting to get a vision of what were we trying to do there. And then coming in and seeing the finished product. And, when you walk to the space, it's the high vaulted ceilings, the neon lights that are supposed to represent when it was a brass and bronze foundry, kind of like the sparks falling out of the beer garden. You have traces of old Pittsburgh with like the yellow and gray brick and this like CMU block that lines our cool ship room. And so he looks at that space and tries to figure out, when someone sees your product out there in the world on the shelf, online, in someone's hand, he wants it to be tied back to that experience and in that space. So, our logo with the triangle, he loves everything about the Golden Triangle in Pittsburgh and the Three Rivers. He felt like Bloomfield's intersection was very much of a triangle. So that was the base of a lot of things we do, was how to work in this triangle. And so our cans are going to be different iterations of this upside down triangle that kind of connects Pittsburgh and the building of the past to the future. And that's where you kind of get some of this. I love that you said Tron, because that was literally what we talked about with him, which was like, what's the color scheme going to be like? What's this connection between kind of this like futuristic aspect of this old 1900 building with these cool new neon lights that are now hanging from it. An old industrial space that was used for light manufacturers, brass and bronze, still now being used for light manufacturing. It's just for beer. And so that's where you kind of get some of this color scheme. It's almost like 1980s, 1990s color scheme. And then like what Zach was saying with the paint, he found a lot of inspiration from our public graffiti wall. And that when people see it, it has a spray paint feel to it. And we want that to evoke the community and public use and public space and that art side. And it's going to be, again, more abstract. I think a lot of breweries do a great job taking a beer name and doing very literal artwork on it, which is awesome to see. Our stuff it's more about evoking that emotion to that space and time, and less about saying, tessellated paradise. How do we make that a literal interpretation?
So a tessellated paradise, that's a threesome, right? I mean, that's where, so just so we're all clear, everybody understands that tessellated paradise means a threesome, because tessellation is a threesome. There's much songs about it, and I just assumed that's what it was, right? We're all
yes,
that's like a Prince
married man. I don't know what you're talking
about. Unless y'all just, it seems a little too on the nose of it.
Definitely sounds like it was one in
I
one
learned
of Prince's
something
songs.
today.
You put that out there and didn't know that's what that means. Man, okay, I'm gonna let you ride with that. Was a happy accident. I don't know. Maybe you're selling more cans. Is that your highest selling beer? Because you know what you're promising on that can. I don't know.
Now the logo looking all freaky.
Tessellated paradise.
Look at all the intertwining of the legs.
Look at the overlapping on that label. On it. Come on, bruh. Come on.
Zach's just putting down little breadcrumbs. Zach has like "Love Is the Way."
He's a nasty
all these
dude.
little hints. Like
he's found a way. He's married, so he had to find his outlet.
How do you say to your girl? Yeah, me.
Yo, that's.
So I'm gonna let y'all go and think about that after the podcast. But
we got some Googling to do here.
He put that on you, but you got something going.
Have you ever
the freakiest cans in the industry? Cans are aphrodisiac. Trace, outlines, silhouette. It get real complicated.
Man.
Y'all should jump on the silhouette challenge on Instagram with the trace. Had a shorty pouring the trace down, and then it glow in the. Oh man, I got a whole marketing campaign.
Find out what's really going on. That cool shit.
It glows in the color of the can. During the silhouette challenge, write it down. You not even take this a whole freaky side
game
of beer
out here. Free
that
game.
Y'all leaving.
Gold, Dave.
After hours. But so Zach, tell me a bit more about your crazy adventures across the world of brewing. I mean, from my understanding, you've been You've been in like Belgian with Belgian monks and shit. You've been out there, you know what I mean? Like,
not quite monks, but yeah.
not quite monks. They're like monkish.
I want to hear the
They
story.
are Belgians, but they're not.
I gotta hear the
Monk
story.
adjacent.
They're not the yeah.
You know he got crazy stories because his background is a bunch of packed bags. Like he already got he got his luggage ready. Like he knows some shit on the horizon. No, he's been around.
Truth. Them is fresh off of a mountain.
This one, I got a call. I gotta take it. And it's out the door.
So tell us. So I mean, was Harpoon your first? So you guys were over there, and then like when did you you were homebrewing or whatever, and then I guess you were and then this is background for folks that don't know. I actually, when I say I'd be over that motherfucker, I'd be down there from time to time. So I've heard a bit more of the story or whatever, but so you got into brewing, and then like how did you get into schooling and and then back to Pittsburgh?
Well, yeah. So my path into beer had a lot of stops. The first beer-related job I actually had was selling beer in the stands at Patriots games.
The beer here.
Oh.
Yeah, I was that guy. And then,
We could do a whole podcast about that.
just about that.
I'd like to talk about that era more in depth.
Yeah.
I don't want to take you away from your story, but we're
Yeah.
gonna
Half a season. Yeah, it was.
in Boston too. Oh fuck!
Yeah, it was.
They like them apples.
Then I was working at Whole Foods specialty department. This was in like the pre-can craze era. We were selling like 6-packs of grapefruit sculpin and stuff like that.
Mm.
And then that job was enough to get me the job at Harpoon. They hired a lot of people that had never worked behind a bar before for that job. So that got me into the service side of things. I was given a lot of brewery tours, kind of rapidly learning a lot about production work. And it just, once I had an idea of what that type of work was like, and I had done enough home brewing, I just knew like, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do whatever I have to do to find my way into this.
Were you?
A lot of people said no to me early on, but I just kept plugging away at it. And I was going around Boston and a lot of small breweries will have like people come in and volunteer on a bottling day, come in here and there and just gain experience. And so, between working at Harpoon and doing some of that stuff, I built up enough experience to get a part-time cellar job working for Trillium Brewing,
Ooh,
which was down the street from Harpoon.
He been holding that
at the time.
Yeah,
in the original brewery. And man, that was the definition of trial by fire, because I got in there and I just remember like a week or two into it asking them like, what were you doing before you hired me? I got in there and it was just immediate, like full speed every day. I'm like, how are you doing this with one less person?
Like the Donald Glover gif when he walk in, is everything on fire. Like, what the?
They were like,
what the fuck?
They had it under control, but they were going, they were putting in full speed work every day, making and selling as much beer as they could make. And that was a crazy time. I was so fortunate to be able to be in the right place at the right time and just have enough experience to get in there and work there for a couple years.
I mean, that's one that's huge. Harpoon is huge, and then Trillium after that is also huge. What was it? What was it about the brewing side that attracted you? Was it the science? Was it the flavor? Like, sometimes what I found is brewers are, they're chefs and engineers, and usually they're, they fall one on the other side. I mean, so were you more of a chef or were you more of an engineer?
I mean, I think to start, probably more of an engineer. But some people, you're right. Some people in brewing are also, excellent cooks or they have this incredible understanding of flavor. And you know, I definitely gained that along the way. But for me, it was a lot of, you know, like learning process. I mean, when you first get into a brewery, it's like cleaning kegs. At the time, you know, in the beginning when I was there at Trillium, we were putting everything into 750 milliliter bottles. We were selling IPA in 750s back then. So it was learning the bottling line, learning how to clean tanks, learning how to troubleshoot various situations and just problem solve and stuff like that. You know, I didn't get to actually brewing and recipe design beyond home brewing for, you know, a few years of professional experience, but it was a great foundation. And I learned a lot of, you know, I learned a lot of stuff that I still use every day at work, those first couple of years. And then, yeah, I mean, after that, you know, I was looking to leave Boston area. It's a really expensive area to live. And I just, you know, it was about that time. And Dave introduced me to Andrew at Dancing Gnome. And it, you know, I just got down there and met him and saw the space. And I just, you could talk to him even then for 30 minutes and know, like, you know, he's got what you need to have to make this work.
Yeah, he's
and I figured that, you know, with what I knew and to fill in the gaps and help him out, that I thought it was going to work out. And, you know, sure enough, mostly, you know, I helped out a little bit, but, you know, he was going to be a success either way. And I knew that right away from meeting him, but that was an excellent experience helping that place open up. I was there for the first year. And then, you know, what always spoke to me the most was mixed fermentation beer, wild beer, spontaneously fermented beer. And so I was able to line up a couple of internships over in Europe, which is what you were kind of initially alluding to. And I spent some time with
just gonna give him that.
I spent some time with Mikkeller at their small blending and wild fermentation program, which is called Baghaven. A guy named Aaron Schmidt runs that place. Fantastic beers. They do everything from cool ship beer to open fermentation, saisons, fruit, wine, grapes, everything that you would want to get into in that side of the beer world. And then went from there over to spend a month at Cantillon, which was truly like a humbling and surreal experience just to be in there, kind of helping them out.
Where are they?
Yeah, who's Cantillon?
That just sound like they make hot sake and shit like that. I'm like, wait a minute, he done went to a whole nother industry.
Yeah, Cantillon is a family-owned and operated lambic brewery in Anderlecht, which is a neighborhood in Brussels, Belgium.
So you just gonna throw it out there like we was just gonna pick up Brussels, Belgium on our radar?
I know.
I just went to Belgium.
You're on a podcast. It's called Drinking Pour. We don't be knowing shit. I mean, I just hope it's false advertising. We apologize.
I'm tight about that. Then I went to Belgium. What?
It's fine. I don't know. I figured you were talking about Belgium, so maybe you already.
Oh, I definitely. I love Belgians. I just don't know much about it. So for the folks that don't, like, what is a lambic brewery and what is a lambic?
Okay, so lambic is spontaneously fermented beer made in the Seine Valley region of Belgium. And so in just as a little bit of background information here, in regular brewing process, you're taking you boil your wort, which is unfermented beer, and then you chill it down and you add yeast to it. So if you're making an IPA, you're going to add a certain yeast for that. If you're making a lager, you're going to add a lager yeast, so on and so forth. In spontaneous brewing, you use an open air vessel. Think of it as like a big, shallow metal bathtub. And you go out of the kettle and you fill that up, and you're sending the wort in there at 200 degrees. And this vessel is open to the ambient air. So you allow it to sit in there overnight, and then yeast and bacteria from the air get down into it. And then those native microflora are what ferment the beer.
I mean, that's just like how beer was invented, right? Somebody just left some shit out there and
Yes.
came back and was like, "The fuck is this?" Yeah, and then had the fucking
Right.
nerve to sip it. Like, right?
I wonder what the
Very-
Pittsburgh lambic would be.
It's
What
a
that's
pretty
gonna taste like.
process.
I mean, this is good timing for this conversation because Zach's about to brew his first use of a cool ship on Wednesday. So we can get into that a little bit once you're done chatting about your background. But it's good timing because this is the time of year for that.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I know this is very jargony, kind of complicated sounding.
That's all right. We like
I
that
couldn't do
nerdy
your
shit.
job before this shit.
Yeah.
I couldn't. So I'm in the same spot. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell a Brussels is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that an EL or LE?
It's the
Come
shit
on,
that
help
you
me
gotta
out.
you gotta sear in the pan really good. Yeah, I mean, it's the
Okay.
mini spinach.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Little cabbages.
So lambic is kind of a regional term, like the way that, they say that champagne can only come from a certain area of France, like lambic can only come from a certain area of Belgium. And then in the rest of the world, people usually refer to it as spontaneous beer or just spawn beer.
So why do I think of it when I mean, because the only lambic that I really is the it's like sweet and the cherry. What's the framboise? Is that
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Cherry would be Creek, raspberry would be framboise.
Yeah, the framboise. Yeah, so like that's when I think of lambic. I just think of like a nice sweet kind of. I mean, but like
right.
it's just
sour
but-
stout type thing.
like it's like it's more like fruity, almost like almost it's a sour. It's a more sour or whatever.
Yeah.
But is
it more like
it's definitely one of the it was, I think it was like probably the first sour kind of beer that I really ever had. That it was like, and I could give it, and I could share it with my lady, and she was like, you know what, this ain't bad. Yeah, I mean, it was like one of the first, that she was like, you know what, I could, I ain't gonna buy this, but it ain't bad. And I was like, that's beer. You know what I mean?
That's that night where you showed her some new shit.
Yeah,
You felt like the man.
Yeah, you pull out the framboise. It's there might be some tessellated paradises going on. You see what I'm saying? Like,
that's a one-on-one. That's a one-on-one belly-to-belly action.
Yeah.
That's where you whisper that you love her so tender.
depends on where you pull that motherfucker out. But so a lambic can be anything. Like, I mean, anything that has, so that's just all that means is that it's in that region and that it's open. It's open air. Spontaneous word.
There are some other, you could talk about this for hours, but the traditional way, it's actually a very dry beer. Some of them are sour, some of them are more funky and less acidic. There's a bunch of different producers and they all do things a little bit differently. The one that you're likely talking about is probably Lindemann's, which is one of the ones that was that's always been more available in the United States. The traditional way, they are not really sweetened beers, but some producers chose to sweeten them.
For American palates, because we love sugar.
I could go on and on and on and on about this, but essentially, it's a very ancient brewing technique, and it takes a lot of time and patience. And I was very lucky to be there for a month and just kind of see how they think about beer and the way that they work, and some of the things that are possible with it. A lot of what they're doing will involve fruit. Some of it will involve adding the beer onto wine grapes and making variants that way. Some of the beer is carbonated, some of the beer is not carbonated. It gets to an area where there's a little overlap with, some of the flavors you might find in like natural wine. So it's an interesting, exciting thing. It's been growing in popularity in the United States. More and more people are making it. And, we did it. they've been doing it at my last job in Pittsburgh, which was at Strange Roots. They've been doing some spontaneous beer there for years. And so, I'm just excited to try to, do this, like basically what I'm doing right now, and, explain it to people and brew it. And, the way that our cool ship is set up, it's in a room off the side of our beer garden, so people can see it and ask about it, and it becomes kind of part of a conversation.
It's gorgeous
Around what we're doing.
It's a gorgeous room and setup. I mean,
yeah,
and from my understanding, you can actually have people like in it. So is that the first cool ship in Pittsburgh?
No. So it's, like I said, Strange Roots has one.
Strange Roots, yeah, okay.
They've been doing it. I think there may be one other outside of the city, and I'm forgetting.
So it's fairly rare that you get to see a cool ship, let alone one that you can maybe like have a meal on.
Yeah.
In general, that's not the most common thing in the U.S., but
it's a good ass ship.
Yeah.
True.
I should also quickly mention that I before Strange Roots, I did help out opening up 4 Points.
I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, bro. This dude, I'm telling you, man.
I should probably mention.
Yeah,
you got sidetracked talking about Lambic.
Like lights out, like you got DG, you got 4 Points, you got Trace over. Like it's like just.
And see, and he tells the story in a very deliberate manner too. He starts off very humble. I was selling some beer type shit at Whole Foods.
Yeah, Whole Foods.
It goes all the way back to, by the way, I helped open 4 Points.
Yeah, I stumbled into Trillium.
I mean, he never talks about like he was talking beer for New England. He taught Tom Brady how to throw the football. Like, he never talks about that.
No, but you know what? You know what's funny, interesting, just listening to that story. It right now has been, in my lifetime, like the biggest divide of I gotta go to work. Like I do this work because I have to do it, and I'm doing work that I like to do. Like you got a cool ship and shit like that. Like you're able to try to create new types of beers, take your past experience, and you're paid off of your creative process or your dedication to something, as opposed to like it's people who going to work like, man, I gotta go to work, and nobody wants to go outside. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy these times. Like you see, like motherfuckers be in the retail shops and shit like that, mad. Like I don't make none of this shit.
Yeah.
I don't care if we sell none of it.
I didn't hate being working at Kaufman's. I worked at Kaufman's before it was Macy's, and that's a very Pittsburgh story.
Yeah. Cleveland had Kaufman's.
Yeah.
Kaufman's and Dillard's. We had Kaufman's and Dillard's.
Did you work at it before it became Macy's?
I was like 9 years old.
I mean, it's a very Pittsburgh.
You worked at Kaufman's?
You worked at Kaufman's.
You were of age?
I'm telling you, man. It was like I was like just of age, and that motherfucker switched straight over to Macy's. But
Kaufman's used to have IOUs.
but I used to be in that bitch, and I didn't really work. I would just shop for clothes and then hide the shit. Like and then wait for the clearance day with the employee discount day. I mean, came out with the Rockawares. Bro, I came out with a pair of Rockawares, clean in the motherfucker for like $9.
What?
Bro, like at the pinnacle.
That's Robin Hood for real. That's what you did.
When they were still relevant.
That's Robin Hood.
In the bling
all
era.
Caps. The white tee, did you have a headband?
Ah, man.
If you wore a headband and a wristband, if you wore a headband and a wristband, you had to know how to dance. You couldn't just walk into the party with both.
You had to at least Harlem shake it.
You had to have a mean Harlem shake with your Rockawares and your wristband.
True. So, I mean, tell us, like, what is your, take, I guess, on the city, given your travels, given everywhere that you've been, and everywhere that you've worked or whatever, even in the city or whatever, how, what, I guess, how would you describe the scene here versus the rest of the world? I mean, like, what makes Pittsburgh beer, I guess, a little different, and what are you setting, what are you trying to do? What's the story that you're trying to tell through your beer as a result?
Yeah. So
mid-season form.
That's a great question. I mean, I think that at its core, like Pittsburgh has always been and will always be like a working class city. And a lot of the beer styles that I love are kind of have that in their history. Belgian Saison started out as a style that was made for, people that were seasonal workers on farms. Belgian Lambic was always just kind of supposed to be a beer for everyone. It's become kind of a beer nerd's beer now, but a lot of these traditional styles and stuff, we're putting out a lager. We're canning it on Tuesday. It's a Dortmunder, which is kind of like a slightly maltier Pilsner that comes from, Dortmund, Germany, which was an industrial city. So I guess what I'm trying to do is make a bunch of different styles in a way that they're accessible to, everybody that drinks beer. Some people can get kind of, overwhelmed thinking about, what is a barrel-aged sour beer? But at the end of the day, it should still, taste great and have excellent flavor. And if we can get a nice variety of styles on all the time and get people from the neighborhood and get beer nerds and get, just average people down the street all in drinking together, having a good time. I mean, that would be, a big success for me. I think it's been fun. Like I came here basically to take that job at Dancing Gnome, and to see the growth in the beer scene since then has been fantastic. And to meet a lot of these people, and it's been a special time for beer in the city. And I'm so happy to play the part in it that I have. And Trace is an opportunity for me to put all of these various experiences that have been so different and take it all and try to put it together and and give it back to the city, basically. So that's what I'm trying to do. I mean,
trying to put the city on the shoulders, try to rep out here.
He said I'm the most qualified. I'm in the brush.
Oh, no.
I'm the youngest.
I had the original Lambic. I ain't got no variations. That's that straight off the brick into the bottle.
Truth. Only cool kids around this cool shit.
Let me ask though. I'm interested. So I'm gonna try another question, right? Don't just say no. Think about the after answer.
Definitely yes.
But seriously, so does the pandemic affect what types of beers you make, right? Because people are drinking in a different way, so they're not drinking in the more communal space. You're drinking at home. You still want to enjoy, the beer, and if you're really a beer nerd, find flavors, palate, all that type of stuff, right? But like people drink differently at home. Do you drink more to chill? Or there's some people drink at home like, I don't got to go out. I can get real strong with it.
Yeah, especially, because like if I get a 4-pack of 10% beer, that's for the house. That used to be I could take that to a party. We could all share that shit, but there ain't no parties anymore. Right. So I gotta.
But then can that 10 go to 11? Can it go? I'm at the house anyway.
Yeah.
How does it affect that?
Yeah, I mean, I think because we've had to open in a to-go kind of can-only format, we've definitely had to pare back a little bit of that variety in the styles.
Okay.
But we did open with 5 different styles in our first release. We had a Saison and a lager and a sour beer and an IPA and a pale. And we're trying to mix it up, but we're pretty hop heavy right now, just because, in cans in general, that's going to do the best. It has a pretty broad appeal. But yeah, I mean, I would just say that I feel so lucky to be able to be doing this right now because, first of all, a lot of people are out of work and kind of down on hard times, but to see people that can come in and see the space and have and see that kind of excitement in their face and try some new beer and have something to be excited about and to be a part of that right now is it's pretty meaningful to me. But from a beer style standpoint, yeah, we've been generally doing like 3 cans per canning run, and it's usually 2 hoppy beers and then something else. So we did this last time we did a fruited sour, and then
was that the what is it?
The change is
gonna plum. Yeah. One night in Miami.
Oh shit! Okay, we back. We back, baby.
But yo, no, I love that. I saw the Sam Cooke reference. I was like, okay, I see you. And this is because like I was like, yo, pull that bottle. And he looked at, he's like, yo, this is beautiful, and it is. It's beauty in the glass right now. I ain't gonna, like, this is a beautiful tasting beer and whatnot. And even like, and just to even touch on. Like, you definitely have more people of color and more, like, women and things like that. It's definitely the most diverse brewery that I've seen, like, staff-wise in the city. I'm just, like, hands down, like, especially coming out the gate or whatever. And I know we had conversations, before you guys opened up or whatever, like, it was very intentional, like, and I think that it has to be. I mean, like, when you're trying to, if you really want to put your money where your mouth is, if you really want to, like, make a change, it has to be intentional. It can't just be like, well, we're just going to throw out a nap and whoever gets it, or whatever. And you guys have been very intentional, and it shows in that staff. And I even, shout out to Adam. I just talked to him or whatever. From my understanding, he's coming on to the crew and whatnot. And even with the reach out with the community, open up the wall for graffiti and whatnot. I guess I just touch on a bit of that and why I guess you see it as important to even make the effort, because there's so many that don't make the effort, and to be honest, there's a lot of folks that don't make the effort and they're still successful not doing that, at least for now. You know what I mean, like, so what why?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I appreciate you, noticing that, and thanks for hooking us up with T-Funk. So you're part of that, making our staff diverse, and speaking to that intention. I think we totally agree that it has to be intentional, proactive step if you're serious about diversifying this industry. Whether you're diversifying it from the front of house, whether you're diversifying it from the back of house, and we're trying to do both. And Zach and I have been in this industry since, there were 2,000 breweries in the United States. And now we're looking at, 10,000 coming into 2021. And things have changed, styles have changed, types of breweries changed, the sizes of breweries changed. But one thing that has been consistent throughout is that it's not
White
diverse.
Dudes.
It's just white. It's all it is.
This is the least bearded podcast that we've had in quite.
It's
diverse, bro. It's diverse.
But
that diversity.
And that's the reality of it. And we've seen it through both small breweries we've worked for, large breweries we've worked for. It's straight white men who make up both the front and the back of house. And we've been a part of teams that have had 50 people on staff, and it's still straight across the board. Again, straight white men. And so for us, we, looked at it and we said, first off, what's the cause of this, and how can we at least affect change within the powers that we have? One of the first things we did is we've created this vocational brewing program. And so,
phenomenal.
When you look across the back of house, there are not a lot of women brewers, not a lot of people of color, not a lot of folks of the LGBTQ plus community in there. So the first thing we did when we opened up this vocational brewing program, with that intention of just saying, you are welcome to apply. And we didn't know if we were going to get 10 people to apply or 12 people to apply. And for our first round, we had 110 people apply. And then we heard very, similar things from these folks who just said, I really appreciate that you made me feel welcome to apply to this program, because I've always wanted to be part of this industry, but I don't feel welcome to this industry when I walk into these taproom, walk in these breweries.
It's dope to hear that, because I'm fucking sick, and I'm gonna hear it until I die. But I'm sick of people going, well, what if black people just don't like beer? And it's just like, or how do we get more people to this and the other? And it's like, give them a fucking opportunity. I got way more enthusiastic about craft beer when it started paying some of my bills. Let me just say that. Yeah, I mean, and I would assume that most people do. I mean, craft in and of itself, like the label of craft, right? The thing that differentiates it from mass is the economic, the factor in it. The fact that it's local. Once you become non-local, you're mass, and people stop supporting you or whatever. So to say like, well, why don't black people drink craft beer? It's because they're not economically
once
empowered.
You go craft
by
to
it.
domestic.
Yeah, like we don't have it our neighbor. We're not making money off of this, so we're not as enthusiastic as the rest of the, when you said, you look at the back the breweries that you were in, they were all white men. They were all white men getting paid. I mean?
Exactly.
Okay.
No, I mean, and that's one of the issues. I mean, one of the causes, and this is a systemic issue. I don't think there's any. I'm sure there are. I haven't met them, but I don't think there's any brewery owner or any brewery out there purposely trying to create a non-diverse staff. But there are systemic problems in this industry, and the result of it is a non-diverse industry. And Zach and I, we worked for free when we started in this industry. And that's a privilege. Yeah. That we had enough money in our bank account, or we were working other jobs, that we were able to do this, or we didn't have a family at home, in order to put our foot in the door. And so, one of the parts of this vocational brewing program is that it's not a free internship. Like, it is a paid position.
That's
it's a livable wage.
That's
so
huge.
we try to break down, that
people
barrier
for their time.
Yeah.
Your time is valuable.
Yeah. And you do. I mean, similar to like what you were just saying, you hear a lot of people say like, oh, my staff would be more diverse if people of color would just come and apply, like I would hire them. But that's not enough. You can't just sit back. Again, you have to reach out and say that they're welcome to apply, because people don't understand the pressure of applying to a job that you feel like you're not going to be taken seriously, or you're just going to be rejected and laughed out the door. Yeah. And so you have to say that you're welcome to apply, and we want to attract that kind of diversity. And so far, again, it's been successful. We had 110 people apply. We wish we could have more folks. Deb Johnson, our first vocational participant.
Shout out to Deb out there.
If you don't know Deb, you're going to know that name, not just for what he's doing for Trace, but what he's going to be doing in the craft beer scene in Pittsburgh. I mean, and I have trained many a cellar person in my almost 10 years in this brewing industry. I've never seen anyone pick up complex processes like Deb does. I mean, he's been with us for 4 weeks. I feel like he's been with us already 6 months. And stuff that we trust him to do back there, whether he's cleaning tanks, transferring beers, it's unbelievable. So
I saw him on the first day. I walked in. I ain't even I walked in. I was like, "Yo, y'all sell a beer?" And it was like, "Nah," but
it's
we
incredible.
hung out for a bit, and it was dope. I mean, it just. Again, it's nice, and for folks that don't know, T-Funk don't like most people. Let's just say that. So when T-Funk is hitting me up, going like, "Yeah, this is legit," the shit is legit top to bottom. You know what I mean? Because that motherfucker's a critic. So shout out to what y'all doing over there.
We appreciate that, man.
No, man, I think it's great what y'all doing. And I think in this social climate, it's weird. Like, folks are starting to see like diversity is the best way to go, right? Like, nobody's ever wanted to go to a room full of a bunch of white dudes. Like, and there's no offense to y'all, but like, you never,
of course,
you never, promote something like a bunch of one demographic. You always want to have the input of folks, and I think it's great what y'all doing, man. I'm happy to see it. Like, so
no, I appreciate that.
How often do you think you'll be able to open this program? I know with 110 applicants.
Yeah. So right now it's a 6-month program. The reason why we picked 6 months is, again, we were trying to look at, what's the cause that's creating a non-diverse industry. And one of the things, when you go to apply to a job, they've just picked a number out of the sky and they said, you need 6 months brewing experience in order to be taken seriously. Professional brewing experience, not home brewing experience.
Right.
So it's like, well, if I can't get a job in the industry because of the way I look, or I can't work for free, then how am I supposed to get 6 months experience? So, it's a paid position, and it's 6 months experience, and there's curriculum behind it to give Deb and every future participant all the skill sets that when he or she goes to that job interview at 6 months and 1 day, they are equipped with the skills and knowledge to get that full-time job in the industry. So right now it's only 2 participants a year. Of course, we would love to expand.
So y'all starting right back up right when it's done. Y'all going right back into it. Okay.
Right, exactly. It's always going to be someone. So Deb started January 1st, and then come July 1st, there'll be someone new, and then January 1st again. And so it's always rotating. And hopefully, the other thing is like it's our program's not a secret. We've opened up our curriculum and how we've gone about doing this program to any brewery anywhere in the United States that's serious about inclusion and diversity. So if they want to see our curriculum, and they want to talk to us about how we went about implementing it. Our hope is that the Trace Brewing program will be emulated throughout the entire United States, and that 5-10 years from now, we'll be able to go to brewery festivals all over the United States, and you'll see more diversity, and that lineage can be drawn back to the city of Pittsburgh and back to what all of us on this chat are trying to do. And that's it's gonna take time, but that's that's really the dream, to be able to go into a room and say, where'd you get your start? It's here in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and I think so. Getting 110 applicants and choosing the one, and like him being able to even say that, like, I'm one of 110. Like, I'm the one. You know what I'm saying? So like that's only going to continue to grow and add validity to it. So I think it's wonderful, and not being selfish. Like, well, we got this curriculum. Like, yo, we putting this out here so everybody can jump on, and it's that social pressure to be like, all right, these things are available now. So don't act like, oh, people don't apply. Oh, there's a construct for this. All you got to do is dedicate a little bit of resource, because that's where we kind of got to. Is like everybody jumped on. Oh, we got to do this. We got to do that. There's got to be some sort of initiative. Boom, boom, boom. But it's like, all right, so what type of resource are you putting behind it? Like, just to say, I could put you in this program, but what you're gonna have to do is be like Will Smith from Pursuit of Happiness and like sleeping. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was, though.
Yeah, true.
People was sleeping in the subway bathroom because they wasn't getting paid for the internship. It's like, look, I'm willing to do the work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I already applied, did whatever. Like, I'm demonstrating I'm willing to do the work, but there are some socioeconomic shits that's like hold me back on this side to make myself available.
Especially when you're gaining something from that internship, that apprenticeship or whatever, like you're still getting labor out of that. Yeah, I mean, so like it's not a one-way street.
But that's one thing I've seen is like you get a certain subgroup of folks and they feel like they got to do so much just to demonstrate that they're committed. When you start talking to other folks, they like, no, I'm here for the money.
Yeah,
I'm here to make money.
And there's I was just reading an article about like the economic toll when on oppressed individuals, especially Black folks who have to dress a certain way, and like they come in, they got to be the sharpest. They can't wear their hair a certain way. I mean, they got to perform above and beyond because they don't want to be seen, because they're the pressure of being the one, like the representative of the whole like race
just
in
to
your
get a
job.
3 on your annual.
Yeah. I mean, like you can't come into the job the same way your white counterparts do, because they get the assumption that they're just comfortable, whereas like you come in comfortable, this is because you're lazy. Yeah, I mean, like,
right.
And that takes not only a physical toll, but it's an economic toll, because like
I gotta start dedicating my own personal resource to being looked at as efficient in my gig. And I'm sorry, we ain't mean to throw this right on y'all. Y'all like, damn, we gotta sit on the other side of this, but it's kind of what it is to be a white man today, right? You just gotta sit on the other side of that shotgun every now and again.
It's like Festivus. Like, I got problems with you, be like, yeah, I mean, you gotta sit and be like, all right, get it off your chest. It's 400 years coming. I feel. But I mean, it's the same way. Like, like I live in a household full of women, and it's the same. Yeah, I mean, I just gotta shut up and just be like,
you gotta take it.
You know what you right.
Like, I'm looking at my fiance like, I am not your past relationships. This one worked.
You know what? Men really are trash. You right. I'm just. Yeah, you know what? Yep, you right.
I used to be trash though.
I mean, you be like, yeah.
And sometimes you gotta really take that inward look. Like, I've been trashed before.
Yeah, you got a point. You got it.
We was listening to some shit, or she was reading some shit to friends, and I was like, yo, dude's been lying to her whole life. That sounds like something I said. She's really been lying to a lot.
I mean, a change is gonna plumb, and that's by shutting up and listening. Yeah, I mean, so
did we just shut up and dribble Chase? We just shut up and dribble Trace. That's not the way to come back to this.
we appreciate your time, your attention, and your intent in what y'all are doing or whatever. But before we go, I mean, we could talk, and I'm sure we'll have you guys on again at some point, and definitely looking forward to collabing with y'all in the future and whatnot. But before we wrap this cast up, I gotta ask you. I mean, like, what is your favorite form of potato?
Don't answer that.
You have to.
Favorite form of potato?
Yeah, what's your favorite form of potato?
like mashed potato.
Yeah, that's a
like
form.
that. Yeah. Okay.
That's one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
Zach got something.
I would
He
say,
got something. He got something holster. He ready to let loose. Like
I don't know where we're
shit out the
going
way,
here.
man. Zach got something to say.
Ring, ring.
I would say mashed potato. I'd say
Yeah.
mashed potatoes next to a rare, medium rare steak.
That's a tough
my
choke.
go-to.
That's a tough choose because who makes the mashed potatoes is very prevalent in mashed potatoes.
And mashed potatoes are not all equal. Are you a chunky dude? Are you skins in? Are you skin like I mean? You more buttery, fluffy, kind of like what's your potato
more
like?
definitely
but
don't have
also
to answer
like
the follow-up.
throwing a little bit of sour cream gives a little bit of tartness to it.
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit of a trick. So, like I like that.
Nice.
So,
But I mean, chunky. You got lumps in there. Or you straight like smooth.
Yeah, I like chunky. I mean, I eat both. Like I like the super fluffy, but I like the skins and like chunkiness.
I like a good skin though. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. We got here's the guy.
Zach,
Here's the guy
All
with
right,
the
Zach, what we
international taters. Here goes Zach with the international taters. Here, go
Hold
ahead.
up.
Say some shit we ain't never heard of.
No, I was just gonna go with the waffle fry.
Mm.
All right.
You know,
But now I know
Pretty
you got some
Belgian.
backstory of
That's
the
pretty
origin
Belgian
of
of you.
waffle fries, right?
there's really not. Sorry, I'm pretty skin deep kind of guy. You know, just a little waffle fry. Maybe put some Old Bay on there.
Would you dip it in? Because a waffle fry is only good because
Yeah,
it
you
holds
scoop-
a good dip.
you
You
scoop-
scooping with that? What you scooping with that?
Probably some barbecue sauce.
Well, barbecue. Okay.
My man, I almost said some shit that got me canceled. My guy. Barbecue sauce on the fries, man. I will get a sandwich that's got ketchup and mustard on it and still put barbecue sauce on my fries. I got
it is the better.
seven different condiments in
It
my
is like
fries.
it's like a superior ketchup. Yeah, I mean,
It
like
is.
why stop at ketchup
Right.
when you can have
It's
barbecue?
Harvard of ketchup. It
right.
found that other thing. It networked very well with other spices. I was like,
It is a regal ass ketchup. Yeah, I mean, like
can I make one request before we go? Can y'all make
Sure.
a beer called The Night Begins to Shine for all the parents who have kids who
Yo,
watch?
I love that fucking yo.
Thank you. That would go so well on your can.
I love that
The
shit.
Night Begins to
The
Shine.
night, and your aesthetic looks like that
It
fucking
looks- that's
episode.
what I'm saying, it would go great
oh my
on the
god!
fucking
Oh
can.
hell yeah! So y'all don't. If you don't know what we're talking about, you clearly you ain't got kids or
Take the
something.
Gnarls Barkley version.
But,
I don't care.
oh
but
man, I'm
Teen
telling
Titans,
you,
Night Begins to Shine.
Shit, man, I ain't
All right,
even know you.
That's
was
a
that.
jam,
I didn't
bro.
know you knew.
That's a hope.
That's a bop.
I got a 7 and a 4-year-old at the crib, bro. That shit gets YouTube.
That is a bop, bro.
We
Yo,
will
you
fucking
gotta
dance to that shit.
Yo, It's a real single. That should have been number 1 on the Billboard charts.
Cold fucking
But
track.
you gotta look it up. Teen Titans, A Night Begins
All
to
right.
Shine. It's man, I'm telling you
And it'll
that
go great
that
with
could have
your
been
cans.
filmed in your brewery, man. I'm
That
telling
those
All right, well,
cans.
how
I'm
we
sitting
make
here
this beer
looking at
together?
it.
huh?
Let's make this beer together.
Let's
You ain't got to
let's
tell
make
us
this
twice.
collab.
Let's
do it
do
right.
it.
First of all, I just got engaged. I need excuses to get the fuck out the house. So
Let's make this together just like that night before COVID hit, man. We talked about doing that collaboration with
Man.
T-Funk. He's playing music. Zach's in there brewing. And we're all just hanging out drinking
I
at
gotta
Trace.
just play Night
Let's do
Begins
it.
to Shine.
Yeah, man.
We
All
gotta
right.
put y'all
I like
onto
it.
that.
Yeah, yo, you
right.
definitely do. Like when you get off of that, but you'll go Google that, and don't be
All right.
mad at me when it's stuck in your head.
So,
But-
yo, you can
That
take
sounds
all
good.
types of different drugs to that song.
Yo, it's
And it's a children's song.
fucking amazing, man. It's amazing. I
And
just
here's what you do: line up your cans, and we got to show this to the people. Like just the aesthetic of the cans. Y'all go watch that too. Tell me
right.
they didn't film that in your brewery.
true, man.
Whoever your guy that you was talking about earlier that does your design, he did it for Teen Titans too.
True.
Y'all
All
got
right.
secondary Gnarls Barkley swag. But look, tell the people where they can find y'all, man. This has been a great time. We want people to go in and support. Great
Yep.
beer, great folks, man.
Yeah, come check us out. Trace Brewing in Bloomfield, in Pittsburgh, right on the main street. Just for now, again, open just for beer to go, but hopefully coming in March, you'll be able to, come in our 200-person tap room, drink some beers, run from the brewery out in our beer gardens that are our cool ship table. We're doing some, kind of nano distribution as well. So definitely, call your local beer distributor, see if we have us on there. But yeah, come by, check us out.
Where can they find you online?
It's all at Trace Brewing. I mean, tracebloomfield.com is our website, but Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Trace Brewing. Like you mentioned, Adam Sormer's coming on as like our head of marketing, just amazing talent. So all that stuff you see on Instagram, he's doing himself with our photographer Julie. Just
Adam is
awesome.
Y'all about to be real splashy. Yeah. If you add Adam to this can, they already got something. He's like, oh, I can work with that. I can make that nice.
I do want to say that the new cuvee, the first cuvee of 2021 is A Change Is Gonna Plum and Love Is the Way. That motherfucker in his glass right now is sitting pretty, man. Like the balance of the citra hops and the sour with the fruit. It's a very nice thing that's going on right now. So I highly recommend you go down there. If they, grab one of these plums, grab one of these A Love Is the Way, and mix them up in your glass, and it's not a terrible time, man.
It should look like Power Rangers on it too. But like when they got real technology, like not the first Power Rangers that was fighting in satin. These new dudes that had the shoulder pads but had spikes on them. That's what this is.
Very nice.
Hey, let the people know where they can find us.
Hey, man, if you're looking for us, you can find us on epicastnetwork.com/partnerspod. You can find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at PartnersPod. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, and Google Play.
We Googleable.
Under Drinking Partners, man.
Hey, we want to thank David and Zach for coming through, man. Blessing us with great beer, great conversation, man. Blessing the city with opportunity, man. And we're going to let Zach slide for the flex because he flexed on us for about 15 straight.
38 drops.
About 15 minutes straight.
Was the game
super flex.
The game of brewing industry, like.
But I'm drinking this beer, so I had to take it. And yo, for real, like Dave's been getting down to the brewery now. I find y'all at the Liberty beer spots, like y'all just popped up, and I'm like, let me just keep drinking this shit. Like, thank you for helping us through this pandemic. We mean that shit.
For sure.
We appreciate it. So if you ain't had it, get down there, get down to Trace, get to your local distributor, get it. And as always, even though this is new year, new us. Drinking Partners is the crew, Epicast is the family, and we out. See, y'all shit got that pop to it, and it go with the can. Like I feel like this can't be by happenstance. Like that's the flavor and how it comes off and the way the cans look. That shit got it. That's top.